Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Donna here, and I'm back with another installment in my classic movie spotlight series. In this video, I will be talking about a specific film, but not quite yet. I'm going to be talking about more like a period in filmmaking that I found very interesting and was worth that I felt was worth talking about. So I apologize if this seems like a lecture. I won't be offended if you turn the video off now, but I just wanted to, talk about this interesting point in time. Back in like the 1950s, roughly around this time, television started coming to the forefront and was becoming increasingly popular, and more and more homes were getting TV sets, and it kind of and a lot of filmmakers became very worried at this. They worried, could this spell the end of people going to the movies? Now they can have their entertainment delivered right to them in their house. Whereas more planning and was needed to go to the movies, and um, so they so they were very concerned. They so a lot of filmmakers came up with, like, I won't say like a plan, but you saw some trends in movies at this time to kind of highlight what movies could do that TV couldn't. So we saw a lot of films debut with really high production values and very, you know, a lot of money was poured into them, but very expensive made. A lot of big epic films like Ben-Hur and Spartacus, and like religious films such as the Ten Commandments, and we saw war films and big musicals with show-stopping numbers, and it's just to kind of make movie going an experience, an event that would get people into theaters that you just couldn't replicate this on television. Uh, so there is and these films, they had huge budgets. They had a lot of them had long running times. It wasn't that uncommon to see films go well over 3 hours. that They had huge casts with everyone and their mother making appearances, like cameos from big stars and that. So it just could really entice people. One of the filmmakers is Cecil B. DeMille, who kind of specialized in this, had all these big epic films. His um, so that's kind of where Hollywood was at the time. So there was one film in particular that I wanted to single out that I watched recently. It was from 1963. It's called Cleopatra. It was directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, who, when I realized, like, this is my seventh video talking about movies, and this is the third film I directed by Joseph Mankiewicz I'm talking about. He also directed Guys and Dolls and The Ghost of Mrs. Muir, which I have previous videos talking about. So I don't know. I guess he's become one of my favorite filmmakers. I guess so. I'll have to check out more of his films. I just thought that was a funny little anecdote. Um, it stars Elizabeth Taylor in the title role as Cleopatra. Also stars Richard Burton as Mark Antony, and this was the film that they actually met and began their relationship on. They wound up getting married and becoming one of the Hollywood it couples. They ended up getting divorced, then remarried, then divorced again. So they had quite the tumultuous relationship, and on the set of this film was where it started. So it was interesting. Also, yeah, Rex Harrison in it, who I talked about, and my video about the Ghost of Mrs. Muir. He plays Julius Caesar, and a number of other supporting roles. Roddy McDowall is in it, Martin Landau, and even a pre Archie Bunker fame, Carol O'Connor has a role role in this. So um, certainly had a notable cast. So it kind of tells the whole story of Cleopatra and her rise as the queen of Egypt, and her relationships with Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, and coming, and how they were able to come together, and but I'm not really going to get into the storytelling aspect. I want to more focus on the technical aspects and the production of this film, because it's one of those uh, impressively made films that I've seen, like as far as production values. And uh, obviously it's almost 60 years old, so technology has advanced that, it's hard to compare to films of today. But if you look at it in a microcosm of its time, really very impressive. Big sequences. One of the biggest sequences in the film is when Cleopatra first arrives in Rome, and there's a big parade for her, and she's being pushed in on this big statue type thing, and there's dancers and the whole big crowd cheering, and that, and is really impressively shot. And uh and just it's one of many instances. And there's big fight scenes in it, and war scenes. And it kind of like it seems like a kind of film that was like doing its best to appeal to everybody. Like there's romance, because they mentioned like her relationships they focus on, but there's fighting and war scenes and political intrigue. So no matter what anyone's taste is, they kind of tried to appeal and have a little something for everyone in it. So uh, and they utilize the technology at the time, and with big elaborate sets and costumes. The costume design is one of the big notable films. It's probably one of the most notable films as far as costume designs. I read that there were several thousands and thousands of costumes made, because it had a huge cast, lots of extras and whatnot. And Elizabeth Taylor actually had 65 different costume changes in this film, which at the time was a record for the most in a single film. So that was another interesting anecdote. And uh, I read that it wasn't exactly a lot of the costumes weren't historically accurate, but the designers were looking for big, beautiful, elaborate costumes. So it definitely was one of the calling cards of this film. So it was highly acclaimed at the time. It wound up earning 9 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture. Rex Harrison was nominated for Best Actor, although in watching the film, I think probably the supporting category would have been more suited for his role, but he was nominated for Best Actor. And then a lot in the technical or below the line categories it was nominated. It wound up winning 4 of the 9 Oscars it was up for its costume design, as well as visual effects and art direction and cinematography. It was additionally nominated for its editing and its sound and the musical score. So a very interesting. It was really a big technical achievement. In the many years since, the critical acclaim has kind of waned. Many contemporary critics have criticized it. It is very very long. It's over 4 hours long. So uh, you know so obviously it's gonna like drag on. This was the longest film that I've ever seen. Actually, to watch it in several installments. I had it saved on my DVR, and I had to keep coming back to it to watch it. So, a lot of critics have complained that it's hard. It's easy to get lost in this film, and drawn because it's so drawn out, and you know, some felt it was kind of miscast, and others felt and may not historically accurate. So um, so it's kind of in a acquired taste, and it has its Rotten Tomato score is actually only 62%, which is like a solid number, but for big film that was up for many Oscars, really not on that level per se. So but I did enjoy it. I do happen to like these kinds of films. I know I watch like a lot of the epic films around Easter time. They have a lot of the biblical films like Ten Commandments and Greatest Story Ever Told, and I do watch them, and I can appreciate them. But I understand it's kind of an acquired taste, and isn't for everybody per se. So normally like I've been like giving kind of glowing reviews of the films and TV shows that I talked about, but and tell people they should watch, and and yeah, if you're into into these kinds of films, you should definitely check it out. But I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, and you know, and so let me know what you think. What have you ever seen Cleopatra? What did you think of it? Do you think it's too long, or did it bore you, or whatnot? And as always, I'm open to suggestions. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all the works. And until next time, take it easy.